me okay? Okay, it's working this week. I don't know what they did, but they fixed it. Had a shout last week. All right, we're in Revelation chapter 14, but I have just a couple of leftovers from chapter 13. I had some extra slides I wanted to show you, and y'all listened too slow last week. It was y'all's fault. And so we were talking about the Marxism coming, and I want to show y'all the words to a song written by John Lennon back a long time ago. 60s. Well, this one was? This was after they broke up, I think. It's probably in the 70s. And the words of this song are exactly what the people who are wanting Marxism are talking about. Look at this. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Look at this one. Imagine there's no countries. See, they want to get rid of borders. It isn't hard to do, nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Do you see the Marxism in this? I mean, the tune was beautiful, but the words are terrible. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Imagine no possessions. I heard someone say that you are not going to own anything, and you're going to like it. I heard somebody say that. Yeah. There's a chorus that says, "You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one." That's a one world government. But it says, "Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world." So there's Marxism has been being pushed into our society, and people didn't even know it. I didn't know it. When I first heard it, I thought, wow, what a pretty song.
They sang that at the Olympics a few years ago, either opening or closing.
Did they? I don't doubt it. Hey, Carol, I've got water on the side of my bag over there.
Yeah.
Would you get it, please? And after last week's lesson, I knew it was kind of tough. So I wanted to show you a cartoon to lighten it up.
Oh yeah, if you don't make it, you can.
This is for the ones that don't believe in the rapture. They may have to have some help. And here's another one too. I don't know if you can read the words there, but it says, "At last we're free. The rapture, it happened. We've been left behind. Yippee! All the religious wackos are gone."
Look at the guy.
Yeah, they're not going to like it though. The restrainer has gone, and the devil is running loose. So we're in chapter 14, and this is still part of what has been called a parenthesis, or a lunch break, so to speak. All the action, we've seen the seals, and we've seen the trumpets. And in a chapter, I think, I don't know if it's next week. No, I believe it's chapter 16. We see the bowls, and the bowls are tougher than the other ones. So there's lots of action left in Revelation. Okay, well, this is just kind of a pause, so to speak. And this chapter 14 is kind of like an index or a preview of what's coming. And the time frame, I have no idea. And I don't know that there's a time frame. I think it's just saying these things are going to happen eventually, but they haven't happened yet here. So Revelation chapter 14, verse 1. "Then I looked, and there before me was the Lamb, standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. Now I know they speak English in heaven, so I don't know if it was written in English or Hebrew. No, I'm joking about that, don't you? I wondered what name was written on their forehead. And I started thinking about the names of God. You got Elohim, which is, by the way, a plural name for God. And it's translated God in our Bible. And guess what I heard? Thanks to Chuck Missler. That guy's so smart. You know, to be plural, we have to have two, right? In Hebrew, you have to have three. And so Elohim is a plural name. That's why sometimes God said, let us make man. He wasn't talking to the trees. He was talking amongst the Godhead there. Let us make man. Let us do this. You see this us several times because it's a plural. 3 in 1. And so I don't know the name of God. I think the name he gave Moses was Yahweh. The old King James translated Jehovah, but and when a Jehovah Witness says, "We know God's name," no, they don't. Jehovah's a man-made name. What they did, there's no J in Hebrew, okay? And that's why scholars say instead of JHVH is what the Jehovah came from, it's YHVH, Yahweh. And the reason I say it's a man-made name, they took the vowel points from Adonai, which is translated Lord, and put them into what's called the Tetragrammaton, that's those YHWH, and came up with Yahweh. And in the old days, it was Jehovah. Does all that make sense now? They don't know God's name. And we don't know exactly what his name is either, the name he gave Moses. And the names for Jesus, I don't know what's on their forehead here. Yeshua would be the Hebrew. That's Joshua. And the Greek is Jesus. And of course, the English is Jesus or Christ. And so what name are there? We don't know, but they know. These 144,000 will know when that happens.
You know, half the kids in Mexico named Jesus.
Yeah, I should have put that in here. I met a guy when I was in Venezuela, and he had his name tag Jesus up there, so I can't make my picture with him. Well, I can say, I've had my picture made with Jesus. But it's Jesus, yeah. Because the J is, there's no J in Hebrew, there's no J in Greek. But it gets transliterated into English, and somehow it gets anglicized, I think. It got Latinized first and then anglicized, and that's how that J got in there. Let's see, who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a sound from heaven. Some of your translations might say voice. I think sound is better, but each one's correct in the Greek. I heard a sound from heaven like the roar of rushing waters and like a loud peal of thunder. The sound I heard was like that of harpists playing their harps. You notice he said like that of, not necessarily that you're hearing harp music, but it sounded like harp music. And they sang a new song before the throne and before the 4 living creatures and the elders. No one could learn the song except the 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. These are those who did not defile themselves with women, for they remain virgins. They follow the Lamb wherever he goes. They were purchased from among mankind and offered as first fruits to God and the Lamb, and no lie was found in their mouths. They are blameless. So we got the Lamb standing on Mount Zion. Where is Mount Zion? Anybody know? Well, if you read your notes, you would. Do y'all read those notes? I didn't know. I wasn't sure.
It's Mount Sinai.
To what?
Isn't it Mount Sinai?
Yeah. Mount what?
She said cyanide. She said cyanide.
Oh. Yeah. Mount Zion is basically where Jerusalem is. If you look up in the Bible dictionary, you get kind of confused. One said Mount Hermon, which is close to Caesarea Philippi. No, it's not that close to Jerusalem. But Mount Zion is basically the mountain that Jerusalem is built on. Here's something from 2 Samuel. The king and his men marched to Jerusalem to attack the Jebusites who lived there. The Jebusites said to David, "You will not get in here. Even the blind and lame can ward you off." Now, did you know that trash talk has been around for at least 2,900 years? That was trash talk. They thought David cannot get in here. Nevertheless, David captured the fortress of Zion, which is the city of David. So that's where Zion is. It's a hill. So the general idea is that this is Jerusalem, but there's another Mount Zion that's in heaven, or in the new Jerusalem. Look at Hebrews chapter, there's a picture if you want to know. That Mount Moriah, I think that's about where Mount Zion is on. You have a lot of little mountains around here. Hebrews chapter 12. But you have come to Mount Zion, to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem. You have come to thousands upon thousands of angels in joyful assembly, to the church of the firstborn whose names are written in heaven. You have come to God, the judge of all, to the spirits of the righteous made perfect, to Jesus, the mediator of the new covenant, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abel. So see, there's another Mount Zion, and I think this is the Mount Zion that these guys are standing on. And when it says they follow him wherever he goes, I mean, I almost imagine Jesus moves, here comes a crowd of people. Then he walks over here, and here comes a crowd of people. I think that may be a kind of a symbolic, like we follow Jesus, but we're not running around behind him. So I think that's more what they're talking about. This 144,000 are probably those that were sealed in chapter 7. And they got to learn a new song. Isn't that cool?
Aren't there 144,000 Jews?
Yeah,
Is that the Jews they're talking about, or somebody else?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to place them in your whatever view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is apparently taking place in that second half of called the Great Tribulation period. But yeah, that's 144,000 Jews who have been sealed.
Does that mean they believe Jesus?
Yeah, they were evangelists. They were out there preaching away.
Well, they replaced the church. In some ways.
Yeah, without saying replacement theology. Yeah. They had background music. Wasn't that cool? But they're the only ones that could learn this song. Now, John talked about sound like harps. For some reason, we have this picture of angels sitting around on a cloud playing harps, don't we? And we know that that's not really happening. And some people think that when you die, you become an angel and you're sitting on a cloud playing a harp. It's kind of weird how stories and things. I remember hearing the story. Do you remember the story, The Littlest Angel?
Oh,
Yeah, a cute little story. This kid dies, and then Jesus is born. He wants to give him a gift, and he had this box of goodies he left back on earth, and I think, but the child becomes an angel. That's not right, but it's just the way it is.
Because we become like angels.
Yeah.
We are angels.
Yeah.
We were actually created a little lower than angels, but we're going to judge the angels. Did you know that? Boy, they better straighten up, hadn't they? They don't know how tough we are. Okay, I mean, I always figured Amazing Grace would be what they'd be singing up there, but I guess there's going to be some new songs learned. I've got a great book by Malcolm Muggeridge where he talks about different folks,
That's
Pascal,
William
some
Blake.
others.
That's William Blake.
I know it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying he was.
No, in the
Sorry.
book, he talks about William
Right.
Blake. That's okay. Hey, I found out that I make a lot of stupid mistakes. There's nothing worse than to watch yourself on video. And you think, I didn't mean to say that.
Like the 616.
So anytime I say something crazy, y'all call me out on it because I don't know I say it.
Like the 616 last week.
Yeah, I said 616 was the best translation instead of 666.
I knew you said that, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Y'all can-
He said, I hope they.
Y'all can call me out on anything like that now because it doesn't seem like the brain is chugging on all cylinders these days. But anyhow, William Blake was laid on his deathbed, and before he died, he sang a hymn that no one had ever heard. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be cool? I wish I could have heard it. And it's interesting to read about William Blake. He was a fine Christian man. But guess what? We do know the words to a new song that's sung in heaven, and it was back in chapter 5. He went and took the scroll from the right hand of him who sat on the throne. We're talking about the Lamb here. And when he had taken it, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the people. And they sang a new song, saying, here's the words to the new song, but we don't know the tune. You are worthy to take the scroll and open its seals, because you were slain, and with your blood you purchased for God persons from every tribe and language and people and nation. You have made them to be a kingdom and priests to serve our God, and they will reign on the earth. So there's the words to a new song. And I don't know if we have song books in heaven or screens.
No, we just know them.
You don't think there'll be screens?
He'll just make us know it by heart.
Oh, okay. We'll have new brains where we can learn it.
We will.
You know, if you've ever heard of the Jewish people celebrate their feasts and so forth, the singing is not very melodious anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm hoping the tunes in heaven are better than some of those Jewish songs. All right, verse 6. This is really cool here. Then I saw another angel flying in midair, and he had the eternal gospel to proclaim to those who live on the earth. Isn't that cool? I mean, why didn't God do this before? He trusted us to do it, though. To every nation, tribe, language, and people. He said in a loud voice, fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him who made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and the springs of water. So, like I said, up to now, people proclaim the gospel. But for some reason, God turned to an angel to do it. Anybody know why? That's right, we were gone. The church is gone. The church is gone away. And there wasn't anybody else here but the 144,000 out there. And then you got this angel flying around. And he's not the only angel that's going around, but he had a simple message. His message is fear him, glorify him, and worship him. And I got a feeling if somebody was living in the middle of this tribulation period and seeing what God could do, that would strike fear in their hearts, I would think. So the fear him shouldn't be a problem. Glorifying him is another story, and worshiping him. But some folks do. And there's a statement that Jesus made that we've always latched on to here in Matthew 24. He said, and this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. Well, guess what? If we don't reach everybody, the angel will. This angel is going to preach to everybody. I don't know, there may still be some tribes in the Amazon somewhere that we hadn't found yet. But this angel will find them. So the church is given this task to reach everybody, and I hope they do. The estimation is that between 10 and 20 years, we will reach all the people groups. Speaking of people groups, here's a list. I got this. I texted Jay Gordon. I said, what does Brooks Hill say, or how many people groups are left? So all people groups, there's 17,468 in the world. And if you want to know the population of the planet, it's 7.84 billion, almost 8 billion people. But unreached people groups, there are 7,419 right now, and that's 3.28 billion. And the percentage of people groups that have not been reached is around 42%. But this angel is going to reach them, because we won't be here to reach them. But then there's a second angel in verse 8. A second angel followed and said, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, which made all the nations drink the maddening wine of her adulteries. So this is angel number 2, and I'll let you know what Babylon the Great is when I get there, because I hadn't got there yet. We still have a few chapters to go, but we will run across Babylon the Great, and I hope I have it figured out by then, because I don't have it figured out right now. I'm just a week ahead on this stuff. I want you to know.
So this is fresh now?
Yeah. I thought I knew Revelation too. You teach it verse by verse, and you find out how much you don't know.
Yeah.
All right, verse 9. A third angel followed them and said in a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast and its image and receives its mark on their forehead or on their hand, they too will drink the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath. They will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment will rise forever and ever. There will be no rest day or night for those who worship the beast and its image. For if anyone who receives the mark of his name, or for anyone who receives the mark of its name, this calls for patient endurance on the part of the people of God to keep his commandments and remain faithful to Jesus. So this angel number 3, he's putting the warning out. You receive this mark and you're doomed. And this mention of this place of torment, this is what's known as hell. Hell isn't being utilized at this time. Hades is. And it drives me crazy when I see a translation, when the Greek word is Hades and they translate it hell. Hell is, Jesus spoke of hell when he used the word Gehenna, which I told you before was a picture of the Valley of Hinnom, which is where back in the days of Manasseh, when Molech, they sacrificed their children in this Valley of Hinnom, in that area. And so in Jesus' day, my understanding is it was a garbage dump, and there were fires going there all the time. So he used Gehenna, or the Valley of Hinnom, as a picture of the ongoing torment. The lake of fire is still yet to come, and death and Hades and all these, and Satan and all his band are going to be thrown into this lake of fire, and that is hell. Now, for some reason, we have this idea based on, I think, the writings of Dante and some other some cartoons, that Satan is the king of hell, that he's in charge. Matter of fact, I wish Jerry Rose was here. Not for this one though. Let's see. This one says, and now for some super duper fantastic team bonding games. And somebody said, this really is hell. But this is the one I wish Jerry was here for. It says, would you look at this? No handrails? Man, I'm trying to,
Someone
I
is
can't
just-
hardly read it.
Someone is
Read it.
just asking for a big fat lawsuit.
Yeah.
And don't get me started on the heating system.
Yeah, okay. So if Jerry was here, you know, that's a typical lawyer on his way down. He's playing a lawsuit. But that is our concept. We don't understand Satan is going to be an inmate, not the warden. Verse 14. Y'all going to have to listen a little faster here. I looked, and there before me was a white cloud sitting on a. Yeah, I looked before me, and there was a white cloud, and seated on the white cloud was one like a son of man, with a crown of gold. This crown, by the way, is not the diadema, the kingly crown. This is the Stephanos, the victor's crown. We see both types of crowns in Revelation. With a crown of gold on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Then another angel came out of the temple and called in a loud voice to him who was sitting on the cloud, take your sickle and reap, because the time to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. So he who was seated on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was harvested. There's going to be another harvest here in the next group of verses. And I kept wondering, why are there two harvests? And I was thinking to myself, maybe this harvest is of Christians. But there's a Greek word in here that makes me think not. The word ripe means overripe, like raisins. And so it's like these people are overdue to be gathered up. And then we go to verse 17, and he says, another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. Still another angel who was in charge of the fire, you don't mess with that angel, came from the altar and called in a loud voice to him who had a sharp sickle, take your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of grapes from the earth's vine, because its grapes are ripe. The angel swung his sickle on the earth, gathered its grapes, and threw them into the great winepress of God's wrath. They were trampled in the winepress outside the city, and blood flowed out of the press, rising as high as horses' bridles. I understand that's about 4 feet, for a distance of 1,600 stadia, which I think is about 200 miles. And this harvest, I think the first harvest were people not involved in this battle of Armageddon. This is talking about Armageddon here. And this is yet to come. So I think those who were not involved in Armageddon were maybe swept up in the first harvest. And then this harvest, they're going to show up in Armageddon, and that's when Christ is going to come back. And he's going to clean house. And it's going to be a really bad sight. So, and we will see this battle of Armageddon in later chapters. As soon as I get there, I'll let you know all about it. So, I may stop here and see. I got a little more here, but I'll wait. Y'all have any questions or comments? Well, I tell you, I've seen lists. The Q&A has been a failure in Revelation. Are y'all afraid to ask a question? Okay, well, I'm going to stop here because I have
Well, let me ask you.
Yeah.
When you said that Armageddon was gonna happen, now, the rapture will have already happened. Will those of us who've been raptured, will we be able to see any of this?
Yeah, because we're gonna be right behind Jesus.
Okay,
I don't know if we're having a white horse or not, but he will. Which makes me think, there must be some animals in heaven. There's at least white horses.
144,000.
And yeah, the 144,000.
Yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of people
Less
coming
than
right
a
behind
million.
Jesus. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And then we'll see the new Jerusalem kind of settle down. And I think it's gonna settle down right around Irondale.
Oh, no.
That's my guess, right on top of my container garden. Which is doing All right, anything else? Well, there's nothing left to do but sing.
A new song.
Well, it's an old song.